Hey, tough and the out of this world story from Street Travel. There are ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back in Street Travel. I am your host Manir.
We have two children, five female and six male, and my sister-in-law, my husband's sister, has two children, 10 male and 9 male, and every time we visit they hurt my children in one way or another, both physical and emotional bullying. So this time, I told my husband that I didn't want to spend Christmas with his family. He got upset because he doesn't want to lose his family. He is very close to his mom and sister because they lost their father when my husband was 10. Also, my mother-in-law favors my sister-in-law's children and they get more and more expensive gifts from her. Now, while my children were small, I didn't care. But now they notice when their pile from Granny is much smaller than their cousins. My husband says that if we start not attending big holidays or gatherings, etc., it will drive a wedge between our family and all of them. But I don't care. I don't want my babies to associate the holidays with negative feelings of being hurt. I don't even want to compromise, negotiate, or meet them halfway. So am I the a-hole? So short and simple like your post OP. No, you are most definitely not the a-hole. The a-holes here are your in-laws, and in this case also your husband, which sucks of course because he should be your partner in this. He should also be the one protecting his kids and not just you. Now, I don't know what his background here is. If he's got some trauma or something went on that he's just not seeing that his kids get bullied, or he's dismissing it in favor of spending time with his family. Which I got to say, he should understand that his family is you and his kids. The rest are extended family. Unfortunately, OP, I don't think you have an in-laws problem. I think you have a husband problem, that he should stand up for you and your kids and tell him to F off, and he should just spend Christmas with you. It shouldn't be you saying I don't want to spend Christmas with your family. It should be him saying we're not spending Christmas with those a-holes and we're going to have our own little Christmas together. Now I know you didn't ask for advice, but just in case, I think you should sit down with your husband and clear things up with him, and he needs to make a decision. Which one is his family? And that conversation, I believe, will determine the future of your relationship. Hopefully he can choose wisely. And what do you think about OP's situation? What is your judgment regarding it? And what would you advise OP to do? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said. Secret Double 9239 says, not the a-hole, but next time you speak to your husband, use a hypothetical. Tell him you took the kids to a park or playground and then described one of the events where your kids were injured by their cousin. See how he reacts. If he's pissed off and angry, tell him that his nibblings did that and he didn't react. However, when it's someone outside of the family, all of a sudden the behavior is not to be tolerated. Petula Fairy 3 says, quote, he got upset because he doesn't want to lose his family, end quote. How is not going to Christmas the same as losing his family? You're not asking him to never see them again. It's one day. If it creates a wedge to not go, the wedge is because of how his sister allows her children to treat yours. Plus holding holidays hostage as you either spend them with us or you're ruining the family is a hella manipulative attitude, and how, as a father, can he justify putting his wants ahead of the happiness and safety of his children, not the a-hole? Haunting Artvark 709 says your kids need a wedge between them and your husband's Absci family. Be the wedge. Own that DMN wedge and cover it in tinsel garlands and Christmas lights if it means your kids don't get bullied. Know that you're an amazing mom protecting your children. Not the a-hole with an H, and OP responds, I like this. I will use exactly this when talking to my husband. I am the wedge. And CMUD5386 says, quote, he got upset because he doesn't want to lose his family, and quote, he is going to lose his family. When the kids, he's cool watching his children get tortured. He's totally okay watching you get short-shrifted. This is a husband problem. Additional information from OP's comments. All he has done to try to prevent our children from being bullied is discussions with his loser sister and loser mother about why her children are bullies. It's admirable that he cares. I applaud him for trying to help his nephews. But not by using my children as guinea pigs. DM in it, I still can't clap. And just to give you all some examples of what I mean by bullying. My daughter now has a permanent scar on her cheek right below her eye because one of the boys scratched her face very badly. There's shoving, locking them in closets and turning off the lights, calling them ugly, making fun of their hair and threatening to beat my boy, among other things. My husband gets upset and tries to tell his sister's children off, and my in-laws pretend that they will do something, but always say some crap like, boys will be boys, or that they are children. We can't be mad at children. I am not mad at the children. I just don't want them near mine. Honestly, I never cared about the gifts because his mother never liked me. But I noticed last Christmas that my son was sad. I don't want my children to be sad for any reason. The gift difference is like 20 to 200. Now I asked once if they could just try to exchange gifts before we arrived, and then only have one gift each for each child in front of my children so they don't notice the favoritism. But my loser mother-in-law started yelling and calling me a gold digger. Nobody involved has gold to dig. We are all hard-working people. When I told him that I didn't want to go, he literally said, maybe I could go by myself. It's an 8-hour drive. He said we could celebrate after he comes home since they're still very young and don't really know the days. We are off work until after the new year, so they wouldn't know anyway. I said, yes, sounds like a plan. And he got upset and said that I had probably already thought about it. Haven't you? And in true honesty, no, I hadn't thought about it because I didn't know he would want to go anyway. But I wanted to find a solution and I agreed to his. He can do whatever he wants. I'll stay home with my babies and spend a calm, beautiful Christmas where they don't need to hug my leg and hide behind me. I don't want that for my children. I don't want my children to grow up with memories like this. I want them to have positive memories. They will never be forced to get together with people who don't want them or don't love them or love them less. I don't have any family, unfortunately. They disown me because I chose a man outside of my ethnicity and faith. My family is Jehovah's and I'm an atheist. We're all from Europe, so I can't count on any support there. When I first noticed that his loser mom hated me, I tried to understand and asked her if it was because I was from a different ethnicity. All hell broke loose and she accused me of using the R card and how dare you. So I don't use this anymore. And yes, of course, I say losers in front of my husband. Call as paid is paid. And regarding their loser family dynamic, his loser mom never remarried and his sister's husband is an even bigger loser. I guess that my loser mother-in-law relied on him for emotional support as a husband figure since his father died and couldn't cope with him falling in love with another woman. Creepy. I can be viewed as insufferable because I can be very rude to losers. Update. I'll just get right into it since I have already made a post and comment about my situation. As I said in one of my comment responses, my husband chose to spend Christmas with his family. He called and told them that he was coming alone this Christmas, and I heard his mother yelling over the phone, telling him that I was the devil, ruining the family traditions. Anyway, it seemed like she didn't tell him not to come, and my husband said that our children are too small to understand, so we can pretend Christmas is when he gets home on the 27th. He drove yesterday 8 hours, but when he arrived nobody was there, so he got worried and called them a number of times, but nobody answered. He called me freaking out, so I told him to text his mom that he was going to call the police to make a wellness check. Only then did the loser call him back, telling him that they had booked an apartment on a skiing resort and had gone earlier that day and they were spending the holiday skiing. He drove back and got home early this morning, and he tried to fight with me and put the blame on me because I refused to let my children celebrate with their family. I stopped them right there, telling him that I wasn't the one ghosting him and that if he wanted any chance to have a happy family, this was his. His family had shown him what they were and the lengths they could go to hurt and humiliate others when slighted. Now I think my in-laws have come to the realization that they had gone too far because they have been calling and texting my husband all evening. I even heard his loser mom crying. I think she thought he wouldn't just drive back to us like he did. I don't know, maybe he would apologize or try to have them come back or go after them. They didn't tell him that they had already made plans and left. What a bunch of loser psychos. I felt so sorry for him because he was so hurt. but he probably now understands that what they did was well planned long ahead. I also made it clear that they were not welcomed here if they think they can come and apologize to my husband for making him drive to an empty house. And I made it even clearer that I will never have them in my or my children's lives. I will start my own Christmas tradition for my little family. And it will not be 2 days after as he suggested. I told him that I wanted this clear so he could make his choices known and how to proceed with his life and know who he thinks is more important to him. I am done having losers in my life and my children will not mix with these types of people. However, that probably didn't. If he wants his loser mom and sister, he can still have contact with them. He can run to them when they abandon him and let him wait outside of an empty house in the cold after driving 8 hours to be with them. Not even answer his calls until he tells them he is calling the cops. He genuinely thought something serious had happened to her and his loser sister because they weren't picking up. What kind of a mother lets her son drive 8 hours just to find an empty house because she didn't bother telling him she's changed her Christmas plans and he wasn't a part of her new plans? He hasn't apologized, but to be fair, I told him that I refused to ruin my day in any discussion or talk and that he should think, really think, before opening his mouth with me because whatever he says and decides next is going to decide our future. I really hope we can solve this, but I feel like we are heading in the direction of divorce it seems. Anyway, he agreed to give us a break and to talk about it later. I know he does love me very much. I don't know if he likes me all the time though. In spite of all of that, I have had a wonderful weekend however. My son was over the moon when I said that we weren't visiting Grandma. The children were happily surprised by Dad's presence and we had a Christmas lunch with my closest friend and her youngsters. Now we are making pizza because I thought Christmas was going to be on the 27th and didn't prepare. Merry Christmas and thanks for all the support. Well OP, I gotta say I admire your spine. You are one of my favorite OPs so far. You just didn't take any crap from anybody and you protected your children. That's it. That's the job. As to the future of your relationship, I'm gonna leave that to you and your husband and that conversation that you guys are gonna have. Fully your husband can open his eyes and see that his family is right there in front of him and not 8 hours away. I'm happy you and your children had a Merry Christmas. OP, thank you so much for sharing and to take care. Story 2. 30 female husband 35 has 4 sisters. 3 older and 1 younger, though I don't know the exact ages. We don't have children, but we do have nearly 10 nieces and nephews, all ranging in age from infant to high school. Since we don't have kids, we try to spoil the kids when we can for birthdays and Christmas, while keeping things equal so no one feels left out. For instance, this year we spent a little over $50 a kid and they all got 2 presents, except the high schooler whom we spoiled a little more since she's older. I wrap all my presents in candy cane wrapping paper if I can, so that everyone knows who it's from at a glance. But the other things I use for wrapping, like bows and labels, are arbitrary. The kids are going to rip the presents open and barely look at the bows and labels. So why should I care which I use so long as the wrapping looks presentable? I also tend to buy in bulk when I buy wrapping supplies so that I don't have to buy more bows and paper every single year. Yes, this matters. Last year, I was low on bows, so I bought a couple of bags from Costco when I got my paper. The Costco bows were apparently better and prettier than the ones I had already, which were from Dollar Tree. The only reason I know this is because last year, I overheard 2 of my sisters-in-law complaining that I used the good bows on the other sisters' kids and not theirs, as if my bow and label choices showed favoritism. They even gave me the cold shoulder that night after the presents were open. I was annoyed at this because of how much we usually spoiled their kids. I would understand if we spent more on one kid than the other or if one kid got more presents than another, but that's not what happened. We made sure everyone was equal and we even got them gifts too, $50 gift cards, even though they didn't get us anything. I don't expect gifts from them or anything, but it just seemed incredibly ungrateful to me and a stupid thing to get upset about. Even my husband agreed that they were being ridiculous, so this year I'm being petty. I wrapped all the presents and went out of my way to use the same size label for all the kids. And no one got bows. My husband thinks this is hilarious. I warned my mother-in-law of my petness, and she promised to let me know if she heard anyone complain. She also thinks this is hilarious. I'm excited to see how things unfold, or shall I say, unwrap tomorrow evening. Happy holidays, everyone. May all your days be chill and your revenge be petty. Update number 1. Presents have not been unwrapped yet, but the aftermath is already here. I did not expect to have an update at all, so here we go. Apparently, one of my younger nephews, who might have some form of autism, was sad that he didn't get any bows. He knew they were my presents from the candy cane paper and asked me where my bows were. Apparently, I usually give him 2 bows. I've literally never noticed that I do this. Like I said, stuff is arbitrary to me. And he asked why he didn't get bows this year. I played it off and told him that I forgot to buy bows till too late this year, and assured him that next year he'd get 5 bows to make up for it. He was happy with this, but I noticed my sisters-in-law exchanged looks. My mother-in-law asked what she should tell them if they said anything, and I told her to explain that I didn't want anyone to feel like I was favoring anyone. Unsure if any other nieces and nephews will say anything, as not all of them have arrived. So we'll see. Update number 2. With presents opened and dinner cooking, I bring you all the epic conclusion. For one, my mother-in-law told my sisters-in-law why no one get bows. And while they did not say anything to me, they had a look all day of children being scolded by their mama. However, I have found the cause of all of this. Well, other than old sibling rivalry causing the sisters-in-law to live vicariously through their kids, essentially, they took me not giving good bows to their kids personally. But the real cause of all this is that apparently, for the past few years, among all the kids, they'd had a little contest of who gets the most bows. I don't know what the winner got, but they took this very seriously according to the high schooler. Apparently, last year, the sisters-in-law heard the kids talking about bows, and that's how the whole good and bad bow drama started. The kids were having a contest, not the adults. It also turns out that my arbitrary wrapping practices were usually the tiebreaker among them. I told the kids that next year I would roll a dice to determine who gets how many bows and that I won't forget again. All is well that ends well, and I hope you guys all have a great day.